So on page 478 we have a beginning discussion of fertilizer grades. Now we've talked about these in our in the last video where we show the percentages of the nutrients that were made available to the plants, or the content of a bag of fertilizer. And I wanted to just point out for a second here some of the terminology that you'll see as you move forward through this chapter, and also in your lab manual on exercise 13. The same sort of terminology will show up. So when we think about these numbers here, so these fertilizer grades, so we have one that's 10, 15, 10, and we said before that the number 10 is nitrogen, the number 5 deals with phosphorus, the number 10 deals with potassium. And it says these numbers stand for percentages indicating the total nitrogen, the available phosphate, P2O5 content, and the soluble potash, K2O content. And then it says, however, plants do not take up phosphorus and potassium in those forms, nor do any fertilizers contain P2O5. So this is actually a throwback to the way that things were done at the beginning of when we had these fertilizer analyses. And I want to just note that when we talk about fertilizers and when we talk about fertilizer grades, we're really talking about specific things that are chemically analyzed, but sometimes those specific things like phosphate and potash aren't actually the form of phosphorus that's taken up by the plant. This is just how we chemically define what's in a fertilizer. For instance, what's in a 6-24-24 mix of fertilizer. Let me bring this up here. In box 13.6, it sort of describes where this came from. But additionally, it tries to revert back to how, for instance, to convert P2O5 to just phosphorus, you multiply it by 0.44, and then you get the amount of phosphorus that's actually in, or potassium that's actually in. Sorry, we're up here. The amount of phosphorus that's in P2O5. And that's interesting. What you need to know is that when we do a fertilizer calculation, or when we make a fertilizer recommendation, like you're going to see in exercise 13 in your lab manual, that fertilizer recommendation is actually already calculated in the form of your guaranteed analysis. So you don't have to do these calculations to determine how much phosphorus you need to put on. Typically, when you send a soil sample into a lab, you get the soil sample back. It's actually going to recommend how much P2O5 you need to put on. They've done these calculations, so you don't have to do complex calculations like they're showing you here in order to fertilize. So I just wanted to talk about that just for a second. Again, you'll see it in your lab manual when we get to that.